Hey everyone, this is D, Movieman, fellow cinephile, popcorn addict, and emerging film critic, coming to you with reliable recaps, reviews, and reactions. So, another day, another trailer reaction. So today I'll be reacting to the trailer for Coming to America, directed by Craig Brewer, and starring Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall, and James Earl Jones. Let's get into it. 30 years.
Hey! What you doing back here? Mufasa!
Oh God. It's not Mufasa.
Just discovered that I may have a son here in this land.
How much child support is she getting from?
The king pays no child support.
No child support for 30 years and you came back? You was a dummy!
Hello, I am Akeem, King of Zamunda. You are the heir to the throne.
Yes, my son.
He's supposed to be like the prince of Wakanda.
Wakanda is a fictional place.
Not to everybody.
Zamunda is a very real nation.
I don't need no handout. Wait a minute. All right, I'm gonna pack. Okay, baby.
Oh my God.
Presenting King Akeem's son from America.
And my mom's.
And his mom's.
Children, this is your brother.
Hey, Quine. I'm sorry I slept with your man.
This happened before we even met.
It's not like you're the first man I've ever been with.
What did you just say about the other man?
Coming to America, now it's coming to me.
I always thought that Mika was going to be queen.
A woman isn't allowed to rule Zamunda. It's the law.
Did it ever occur to you that Mika wanted to be your heir?
Would you dare banish me from my own bedroom?
How you doing, Akeem?
I'm getting it from everywhere. I have upset my family.
You must be strong.
And General Izzy would love nothing more than to take over
Oh
Zamunda.
Lord.
Raise it higher.
I'm a king,
Put your hands together.
I like that.
Say it again.
give me all.
It's a party over here.
I must admit, your style is foreign to my kingdom, but is impressive.
That's right. There you go. Let me hear you say, hey, ho.
Hey ho!
No, don't do that. That's his mother.
Oh, don't you say it.
No, not to his mother.
I'm a king, I'm a king, I'm a king.
Almost ready to become a prince.
Almost. It is time.
Ceremonial circumcision.
Bring forward the royal machete.
Machete? They're gonna sharpen your tool, nephew.
Coming to America, now it's coming to me. I'm a king, I'm a king, I'm a king.
Well, all right. Looks interesting. So as I'm sure many of you know, the first Coming to America was released back in 1988. It was directed by John Landis, who has done so many great films. The Blues Brothers, An American Werewolf in London, Trading Places, and several other films. He also directed the legendary Michael Jackson in the most iconic music video of all time, Thriller. He also directed Michael Jackson's Black or White music video, also iconic. So John Landis has a pretty great track record. It's unfortunate we couldn't have him back for this because I think he did a really great job with the first film, but I'm really interested in seeing what Craig Brewer is going to bring to the sequel. Craig Brewer has directed films like Hustle and Flow, Black Snake Moan, a movie I love. He also directed Dolomite Is My Name, which also starred Eddie Murphy and premiered back in October 2019. I actually enjoyed most of those films in some way or the other, so I'm interested in seeing what his direction is going to be for this film. Looks like a little bit of a departure from what he's done before, but I am excited to see what he's going to bring to this film. The first Coming to America grossed $350 million on a $36 million budget, so it's safe to say it made some pretty good returns at the box office. I think The First Coming to America is an undeniable classic. Very few, if any, black people have not seen Coming to America. You always have exceptions, but I think it's just one of those classic black films that everyone knows. There are so many scenes in that film that are so hilarious, that are so memorable, that are so quote-worthy, like too many to even count. You have the dance sequence, which is choreographed by Paula Abdul. You have the Queen to Be song. You have the barbershop scenes. You have the Randall Watson and sexual chocolate, sexual chocolate. You have those scenes. You have the club scene where Akeem and Semi go to meet all those different women. That is probably my personal favorite. But there are really so many great scenes there that it's really hard to choose just one. There's just so many aspects in the film that are classic and just hilarious. And then of course, when it came down to the cast, you had a little bit of everybody in the film. You had younger actors, older actors, veteran actors, up-and-coming actors, and everybody contributed something to this film. Everyone was funny. The fact that we saw Cuba Gooding Jr., Vonnie Curtis Hall, and Samuel L. Jackson in these cameo appearances, and they all ended up blowing up and having these great careers after the fact. Even the actors with very brief roles were memorable, like the lady who worked at Western Union, and Simi was asking her thoughts on requesting the money. Why don't you ask for a cool $1 million? You don't think that'll be too much? Nah. Like, she was funny. The lady on the subway, if you're really a prince, I'll marry you. There literally was not one person in this film that wasn't funny or didn't bring something to it. So I think the collaborative nature of that film is also what makes it so great and such a classic. Barry W. Blaustein and David Sheffield wrote the screenplay for the first film. They've returned for the sequel, and this time they're collaborating with Kenya Barris on the screenplay. Kenya Barris, of course, has written for Girls Trip, for Shaft, and the ABC series Blackish. I love that we have so much of the original cast returning. Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall, James Earl Jones, Sherry Headley, John Amos, Garcelle Beauvais, Paul Bates, Vanessa Bell Calloway. I was so happy to see all of them. I'm so glad that they're still with us. I'm glad especially that James Earl Jones is still alive. The fact that he's still here to reprise his roles as Darth Vader, as Mufasa, and as King Jaffe Jaffer. I think that's such a blessing, and I'm so glad that he's still here with us, glad that he's been able to be a part of all these projects that he made so famous and iconic in the first place. Now, as far as the new additions, Wesley Snipes is probably the main one I'm interested in seeing. He was so great in Dolomite Is My Name. He and Eddie Murphy had the best chemistry together. Please check him out in that if you haven't seen it. He definitely deserved the nominations he got for that. He was really great. So I'm interested in seeing what he's going to bring to this film as General Aziz. I remember seeing Jermaine Fowler in Sorry to Bother You, starring Lakeith Stanfield and Tessa Thompson. He was really good in that. So I'm really interested to see how he's going to do here. I'm happy to see Kiki Lane. As far as Leslie Jones and Tracy Morgan, I don't mind them. I think they can be very funny. I think when they're funny, they're really funny. I think when they're not funny, they're really not funny. So I'm a little hesitant, but I'll take it. I've already kind of determined in my mind that this won't hit the same way the first film did, which is fine. Not only did the first film cement itself in film history, not only was it a massive financial success, but it still is a classic film that is being talked about 30 years later. So I'm not worried about that part. I just take this film for what it is and the story that it's telling, and hopefully they do a good job with it. My biggest worry would just be how they handle the humor. I don't really like over-the-top slapstick type humor, so hopefully they don't go too overboard with it, and hopefully on some level they can capture some of the spirit of the first film. I remember that was my same worry about the Shaft film that came out in 2019, but I actually ended up having a really good time watching that. So if they can at least get to the level of enjoyment I had while I was watching that, then I think this will work for me. And as long as they can bring all these characters and this story together in a really interesting and funny way, I'll totally be here for it. Coming to America will be available on Prime Video on March 5th. I will definitely be watching, and I'll be sure to give you guys my thoughts. So, once again, this is D, Movieman, signing off, and I'll see you with the movie.